Hi, all. Welcome back to another episode of Cocktail Hour. I am Meg.
And I am Nikki. If you're a wedding vendor heading back to weddings this weekend, may the odds ever be in your favor. And if this happens to be a double or a triple header, this drink is for you. Cheers.
This is very strong, by the way. So we decided on a limoncello spritz. I had them a lot in Italy, but this is
shit.
This baby tart.
Oh, baby.
This baby tart.
I'm put Sprite in mine.
Oh, okay. We're going to get started right away. We have some photographer peer-to-peer drama today.
Peer-to-peer
so
drama.
I'm interested to see what you think about that. And then we also have a wedding planner who's wondering where the hell these galleries are. So
let's go.
I'm interested on your take on that. Okay, first things first, though. You know us. We like to do a catch-up. How are things going? What are you up to?
Well, when this episode airs, I will officially be in Mexico soaking up the sun. Last episode, I shared that I have a wedding in Mexico, and that is going to be actually taking up a little bit of time on my end and my mom's end. So we're flying in the 11th, but we're not officially going to the villa where the wedding is until the 15th. So from the 11th to the 15th, my mom and I are going to be kind of exploring Puerto Vallarta, looking around. We're staying at an Airbnb.
Like that. I love when you say things like that.
Because you're gay.
No, but okay, so I mean, it's like that Brittany Broski fucking video where she's like, I think it's when she tries kombucha, but I just love it because I wish that I could speak another language.
No,
and I'm so jealous when we were in Vegas and we were ordering shots of tequila. Ooh. And I remember you and the bartender, mind you, he had to have been 118 years old. But you and him were having a moment in terms of ordering and speaking
Craig's not
Spanish,
listening.
And it was cute. And I'm pretty sure that you ended up ordering us doubles or triples.
Probably something crazy. Listen, when I drink, that's not me. I don't know her. I think growing up, you have alter egos of what your name is when you're drunk. My drunk alter ego was Ramona. So I just recently went out with all my gym folks too. So for those of you who don't know, I do a lot of CrossFit style workouts at Lifetime through a class called Alpha, and I've just created a really tight-knit community. And we went out to do a little Christmas celebration just at our local bar, Pub 42, right across the street from the gym. And
Ramona made her
when I tell you, yeah, I called you.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, you can't forget that.
You called me 7 times that night.
So right now my thing was fireball shots, and I'm really good at peer pressuring people, which probably isn't something that I'm proud of. But I get into this groove where I don't drink often. So when I do, it's I like to have a good time. I like to cut loose a little bit. I mean, I can have a glass of wine here and there. I'm making this sound like I have a problem. But
I love to cut loose.
I
literally want to go to the hospital with alcohol poisoning.
So the thing is, she gets a little crazy. She gets a little cute. But in Mexico, the nice thing, my mom doesn't drink.
Okay.
My mom is completely sobs and has been for a couple of years now, which love that for her. So
You hear that, Dad?
No.
You could do it.
Same. We're not planning to go out and do anything crazy, but I am looking, if anybody's been to PV, we're staying in the romantic zone. If you have restaurant recommendations or anything, I'll already be there.
Yeah.
But I'm there for quite a while. So we're there from the 11th until the 21st. We fly home.
Yeah.
So we're going to be in the romantic zone in our Airbnb from the 11th to the 15th, and then we're transitioning to Mismaloya, which is a little town 30-40 minutes south of PV, and we're staying at the villa with the wedding group.
That's
and
cute.
It'll be really nice. It'll be really fun. They have this amazing, stunning villa where they're actually getting married, and then the one next door is owned by the girl's grandma or grandparents or something.
There you go.
It's beautiful. It's amazing. I'm super excited. The couple is so great.
Yeah.
Loved, getting to know them so far. And my mom's going to have a great time. So they're having a little welcome party where they're having a mariachi band.
Ooh.
And taco stands and all of this really fun, just cute, very Mexican themed, authentic Mexican stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm so ready to get the actual fuck out of Minnesota in the cold. I can't wait to be in the warmth. I thrive in warm weather. My hair, my skin, you know, my sinuses, like literally everything about me just loves the warmth. And
I'm the
love
opposite.
the
As a beluga whale, I'm like,
shut up.
This is hot. I don't like it.
So when we went to Hawaii last year, February of 2024, Meg's back burned in a way that I've never seen a human being burn.
As if we didn't have an ozone layer.
Insert a photo, because that was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Never seen somebody burn so bad.
I will insert a photo, but I would like to preface that I was like 70 pounds heavier.
Okay.
So like, fuck off.
You can like literally just zoom into your
to
line
the red,
where it is alabaster white.
Yeah.
And then siren red like my glasses.
It was bad. And how long was I outside?
15 minutes.
15 minutes.
And I said,
laid out there,
Meg, you don't want any sunscreen?
Yeah.
And you said, no, I think I'm good. I don't feel like I'm...
Yeah, no, I could not sleep after that. That was miserable.
And then when we went to lunch, I was like, I don't really want to sit in the sun. You're like, it's fine. I'll keep my back to the sun. It's okay.
That's because in Minnesota, like, especially during the summertime, I'm working. I'm at weddings 2-3 times a weekend, and then I'm a hermit during the week because I'm editing and I'm whatever. So like I'm not outside. Yeah, seriously. So I'm not outside all the time. So like I get an okay color. And to me, color is just like what normal people look like. It's in no way tan. I go from alabaster to normal people. And so yeah, in Hawaii, I was like, no, I'll be fine. And I had been to Hawaii a few times.
Yeah.
No, this weather be crazy. But I'm sad that you'll be gone. But I mean, you guys are going to have such a fun time.
I'm sad. And then literally I'm home for a week. So I'm gone for 11 days, home for a week. And then we leave for Vegas literally a week later for my competition. And then we're gone for another week. So I'm like, sorry, Craig. Hopefully you don't leave me because I'm not going to see you. I am still trying to convince him to come to Vegas, but I doubt that's going to happen. I'm more concerned about my dog. I'm more concerned about the fact that I'm going to be away from my dog, my soulmate, the love of my actual life, the person that I birthed for like 3 weeks. It's really concerning to me. He has severe separation anxiety to me. Clearly, I have severe separation anxiety to him. So he's going to be dosed up on trazodone. I don't know. I need to take some of those puppy trazodone, puppy Prozacs.
I was going to say, you'll have the fitness competition that your mind will be on, at least for the Vegas portion of it. There will be a point where you and I probably each cry while we're driving around California because we miss our men, we miss our pets. You know.
For me, at least. Mm-hmm. So I'm just putting this out there. THC is legal in Minnesota now.
Yeah.
I have abstained from THC this entire month, which is 5 days. What day is it? 6 days.
She's a real badass, y'all.
So it's been a week that I haven't, partaken in the devil's lettuce.
Yeah.
And I'm not partaking until after my Vegas competition, which is February 1st. You best believe when my fit fucking ass is in that camper van driving up and down the coast, I'm going to be stopping. We going to be stopping. And your girl's going to be chilling.
I'm good with that.
I'm going to be feeling real good.
I think as a photographer too, you get to a point where every time you take a trip, you're like, oh, let me set up sessions and sessions and sessions. And when we went to Hawaii last year, we were going to do all these different sessions. And it got to the point where we were like, yo, we have worked so hard. Yeah. We just want to relax. And so I'm really happy that you and I, when we decided to do this trip from the get, we were like,
I don't need to take any pictures of anybody. I told you, like, it'd be cool if we brought our drones. You said maybe doing some vlogging. Like, that would be really fun. I am really into vlogging right now. I do my branding sessions. I vlog all of them,
you'd be posting, like, every single day.
And I really love that. Like, I love my branding and I love vlogging those because I think it's just fun. And I think that's a fun thing that we can do that doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like we're setting up a session and posing and prompting couples and doing all of this stuff. Like, we can just enjoy the trip, take some nature photos, go see Big Sur, like, go to Carmel by the Sea and just enjoy.
Agreed.
Because we don't get to do that often, especially, like, winter goes by really quickly, I feel like. And before
I can't believe
we
it's
know
already
it,
January. I'm like, oh, it's a couple months and then wedding season is all of a sudden here.
Exactly. So before we know it, we're going to be busting our ass weekend after weekend all summer long, and we don't get to, you know, do the regular summer things that most people do. So I think that we deserve this.
We deserve it.
We deserve it.
I couldn't agree more.
So what's new with you?
What is going on? Okay, recent obsession. If you don't know this about me already, I get insanely obsessed with one thing typically at a time, just hyperfixation. Yeah. So if you knew me when Elvis came out, the Austin Butler movie, I couldn't stop. I think I saw it easily 8 times in the movie theater. I loved it so much. Then there was the docuseries The Last Dance about Michael Jordan. Can't stop watching it. Just watched it again yesterday while I was editing.
That is a good docuseries, though. I will say that. It's phenomenal. It's really good.
And right now, a hyperfixation for me not only is Wicked.
I was going to bring that up. If you weren't going to bring that up, I was going to bring that up for you.
Yeah. So I will say I got it immediately when it came out. It came out on, I think, the 31st at 11. No. It came out December 30th at 11 p.m. Central Standard Time. I bought it immediately. And I'm kind of...
Oh, you mean at home?
At home.
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of wickeded out. Like, I've watched it so many times where I'm like, okay, I could sit for 6 months to a year and maybe not see this again until the next one comes out. But absolutely love it. We are big musical girlies.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that Nikki and I did go to see Wicked, and I misinterpreted how emotional she was feeling during this movie.
Meg turns to me several times, and she's like, oh, are you okay? And I'm like, literally, shut the fuck up. I'm trying to get this through this 3.5 hour
she was
movie. Fine. I'm fine.
Yeah, she was totally fine. And it was my 4th time seeing it. I had tears in my eyes. So I'm just thinking, like...
Meg's sobbing.
Yeah, it's the Ozda scene, if anybody knows what I'm talking about. And I look over at her and I just think she's having a moment. And she side-eyes me, but I think she's side-eyeing me because she's emotional. And then it comes out days later. She's like, no, I was fine. I was like,
no, I'm good.
You were touching me for no reason.
I will say, though, I didn't realize that was the plot of Wicked. And so I am glad that you forewarned me because, like I said in our last episode, like we do have irrational thoughts specifically when it comes to animals. And like Meg and I are both huge animal lovers. And so the fact that like there is a lot to do with animal shit. What is it called? What's the word I'm looking for?
Like... keeping the animal shit.
No, there's a name for what they're doing though. It's like
segregation, cruelty.
It's not animal segregation, but there's a specific name for it. It'll come to me.
Okay, fair.
But I love animals so much more than people that sometimes, not all people, but most people.
I did want to give you a heads up because when I was watching it, I was like, oh, fuck you. Yeah. I wish I would have known even those little couple scenes. Yeah. I was like, I don't like this.
So what's your current fixation?
Doechii.
Love it.
Doechii. You guys, if you don't know who Doechii is, and I would like to call out Beyonce for a second. I did not know this until the other day. I was watching a TikTok and it showed that Beyonce had Doechii open for her at the Renaissance, not the whole Renaissance tour, but like she was one of the openers. Yeah. And I was like, greatness knows greatness. Doechii's been doing this. Apparently she has been posting videos on YouTube for like 10 years.
Really?
10 years. And she read this book that I literally have somewhere in this office called The Artist's Way, which I can't even tell you anything about it. I heard it on TikTok. I was like, great, I'll buy it. I bought it 2 years ago, haven't cracked it open. But apparently Doechii's been like working. It's like a workbook for artists to like move through your process. I don't know.
Wow.
But she is so extremely talented. If you have a computer or a phone near you, which if you don't, what the hell?
Loser. No,
Loser. YouTube, her Stephen Colbert performance was phenomenal. Her Tiny Desk performance phenomenal. But she's just, we were listening to her the other day and Adam was bobbing his head along and I was like,
okay.
And he was like, what are you talking about? I was like, this is Doechii. And he said, I shit you not. I thought we were listening to Salt and Peppa because he's like, it sounds very nostalgic. And I go, exactly. Yeah. Very nostalgic, but just lyrically and everything, whatever. Doechii, just know we love you. I love you.
Praise,
Nikki will soon enough. But if you see me in my car, I'm performing to Doechii.
You're either performing to Doechii or you're screaming at somebody for driving poorly.
100%. And they're probably elderly and they're very scared and I feel immediately bad after
Praise.
that. 2 other things I want to talk about before we transition is number 1, have you seen Interstellar? You haven't seen Interstellar. Anyways. Okay.
Okay, but here's the thing. I'm going to, because it's on Netflix now.
Yes, it is.
I am going to download it onto this iPad and watch it on the flight as I edit.
Good idea. Nothing to do with animals, but you will cry. It is very, very good. If you have daddy issues, it's it's a good one. But Adam and I went and saw that for my birthday. It was in theaters for the 10-year anniversary. And when I tell you that lately, I think my hearing's been going because things are not loud enough for me. Even in a movie theater, like when we went and saw Wicked, I was like, where's the thunder? I want my whole body to shake. And nothing's been loud enough. But we went and saw Interstellar in like IMAX.
Do you know what that's from? Receptions, standing in front of the mother freaking speakers at a reception. Do you know the amount of times at a wedding reception that my ears are ringing and I go outside like to leave? Music is so loud at a wedding reception, and we are standing directly in front of the speakers so many times that we're like in the burst eardrums. Eardrums. So
that makes sense because my hearing has been
there.
Nuts.
You go.
If I'm in the car and my radio goes up to 38, I'm on 38. Like
you want it at 40.
Yeah. But we went and saw Interstellar and it was loud. It was like up in your ussy. It was the best thing ever. The movie was phenomenal, obviously. But yes, I was going to say it's on Netflix. So if you haven't seen it, please do. It is one of my all-time favorite movies.
I'm hitting it up.
Phenomenal. And last thing I'll say is wedding planning. We are meeting with the I am meeting with my planner and designer. We are doing a micro wedding. So what that means to me, which is very different from what it means to my fiance, Adam, is 50 people. 75, but 50 people, I think, are what's going to come. And it's not that I don't care about the money, but I wanted to do things very bougie. But in order to afford that, I needed to do it on a much smaller scale. Florals are very important to me. Like the tablescape and everything, how the ceremony is set up, everything I had a very specific vision for. So I knew, okay, if we're going to do this, 50 people max can come. Now we are floating the idea that maybe after a very intimate ceremony and meal, where all of this bouginess is happening, we might look at buying out a restaurant or a bar just to then invite, the 300 people in the Twin Cities that we know and love and say, hey,
I like that.
Drinks are on us, food's on, or like apps are on us, just be merry and have a great time. So we'll see what we end up doing. That is it's a cost. I don't even want to say the number because I don't need people to start screaming in the comments, but I will say before I became a wedding vendor, I was never interested in having a wedding.
Interesting.
It's funny how that dynamic has changed. I never cared about getting married. I never cared about having a wedding. And there is something, though, that happens to you, in my experience, when we're shooting these weddings and we see these couples and these families who are so tight-knit, who love each other so much. You see this couple getting married and saying these vows in front of their most precious people. And I go, yeah, I'm owning to do that. Like once I met Adam, we've been together for 5 years, which a lot of people out there are like, girl, you should have had this ring. 3 years of that, I would say, was the pandemic. And that was a struggle bus from a mental health perspective.
So you started dating 2019?
August. Okay, we started seeing each other in August 2019. Okay. We started officially dating January of 2020.
Okay, so full-blown COVID.
Full-blown COVID 3 months in. And we both worked from home. We ended up moving in together. Adam's a very analytical person. I think it would have taken us years to move in if it wasn't for the pandemic. But we ended up moving in because we're like, well, either we move in or we don't really see each other anymore. We ended up moving in, and it was really tough to be in such close quarters. We worked for the same company. We knew exactly what each other did all day, every day. It was really hard. But anyway, so very happy to be engaged and getting married, but I never thought that it was going to be me before. Yeah. So I'm excited to plan a micro celebration. It's not for a while. We have plenty of time, but also for anybody who's worried about paying for this, like if you're like, hey, I want this, but it is a lot of money. I'm going to figure out a way to get it. Just have a long engagement. Some people want the shortest engagements ever. And I'm like, no, I'll plan this wedding for 2 years if it means that I can pay little bit by little bit, just because, you want what you want. Life's short. Like, we die at the end of this. So, like, I'm going to get the flowers I want to get, which I know is not everybody's take on weddings. I feel like once it's all said and done, I'd go like, okay, that could have been a down payment on a house or something like that.
But that's the thing, like
Subjective.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. It's subjective, and it's to each their own. Like if that's what matters to you, that's what matters to you. And especially since you work in this industry, like that's totally fine. I'm totally different. Like I couldn't give a shit. I keep telling Craig, like, let's just get married in our backyard or let's go to the courthouse. Like I don't care necessarily, but that's also because I've already been married. I've had a wedding. I had a 300+ person wedding. I got married very young and was married for, 6 years. Like it's all depends on the person and the experience. So
Agreed.
You do you, baby boo. Who's your photographer? It sounds like they're going to be amazing.
Really quick before I get into that, the more I drink this, the better it tastes. And
Yeah,
I feel like
it's good.
I'm starting to buzz.
No, I love it.
Or is it just okay? Okay.
No, I like mine now. I keep going.
Maybe just the initial shock was like, oh. Okay, so I'm going to say this again. Before I was planning this, I never thought I'd be this person.
Okay.
I started looking at photographers' work.
The works.
Full gallery. Or full galleries. I'm not drunk, but like I could get there.
We're drunk.
Full galleries, and I didn't like anybody's work more than I liked the galleries that you and I pump out.
Yeah.
So if you don't already know, not only does Nikki associate shoot for me all the time, which means she shoots weddings on behalf of me, but we also shoot weddings together all the time. And I love other people's work on socials. Mm-hmm. I go, oh, those are stunning photos, whatever, la la la. When I was looking at full galleries, though, I was like, I love ours the most. And so I decided. I actually Nikki. Decided. I called Nikki and I said, hey, do you mind shooting my wedding? Like, I, of course, will pay more than the associate rate. Like, I will edit the photos, all this stuff. Like, I also I wanted you to be a part of the wedding.
For sure.
So I was like, either you're going to be there as a guest or you're going to shoot it. And there's no one I trust more to shoot my wedding than you. So I'm like, will you just do this? But I will say that if for some reason it gets published or anything like that, you will be listed as the photographer.
That's so kind.
Me.
That's so kind.
Because you shot it.
And to be honest, I'm more than happy to do it. And especially knowing you, like you are somebody who you do have those like qualities about you that I think you just would feel more comfortable having somebody that you're comfortable with and and you almost, not to say that you're a control freak, but you get a little bit more say over like what you get. And like I said, I don't really want a wedding necessarily. I don't really know what I want, but I probably would go the route of associate shooter as well, just so that I can have, and like if somebody wants to associate shoot and then edit it themselves and share some of those with me, great. But like I would also like to have a little bit of that control over like how I crop or how I edit, my face. It's my fucking face. Like I just think having that makes me feel a little bit more comfortable, and I know that it definitely makes you feel more comfortable too. And also just like being with somebody that you just know and trust and can be like, okay, go.
Agreed. And I just feel like you know what I want in terms of like, Adam and I are going to get a couple portraits. That is what it is. But otherwise, document the day as such. I feel like as a wedding photographer, we see so much. We see everything that I'm just like, my gallery doesn't need to look like everybody else's. I don't need to be doing all this stuff. I just want the day documented. And I feel like you are like the perfect person to do that.
Thanks. All right, let's jump into this week's stories. So the story that I have from this week says, I don't want to be friends with or associated with a fellow photographer anymore. She brought me into the wedding industry and I feel like I owe her something, but her negativity is bringing me down and she constantly makes me feel less than. I have one more wedding that I am second shooting for her, and after that, I want to cut all ties with her. I am having to unlearn her habits because they have hurt me on wedding days. What should I do if she asks me to second shoot again, and how would you go about this situation? First of all, no, I didn't write this about you, and I hope to God you didn't write this about me.
No, I feel like we can accept that our negativity it's for the plot. It's not like we're hateful people. We're just like, we're irritable.
The thing about us too, and we'll get into your response. Like I swear to God, we will answer
talk about
this.
it, yeah.
But like we both are so self-aware. I think that like we're okay. Like if you call me out for something, I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like okay.
Yeah.
If I call you out for something, you're like, yeah, that's fair. You're totally right. And then we move on because like we real recognize real.
And I also feel like you and I are both the type of people where we're like, if you have a fucking problem with me,
Please
and
tell
if
me.
you don't say something, that's your problem. That's
100%.
That has nothing to do with me. Like, I cannot walk around concerned that someone, doesn't. So if you want to be friends with them, I think you should talk to them.
Sounds like they don't.
It really doesn't sound like they
Sounds
wanna be
like
friends
cut
with them.
all ties. And
Yeah.
here's the thing. Have a conversation. I am the type of person, if you have a problem with me, like you said, you have to address it head on. We have to talk about it. We have
Yeah.
to have, say to me, say, hey, I feel like, first of all, say, hey, do you want to grab coffee after your last wedding of the year, your last wedding of the season, whenever the heck it is. Get coffee and say to that person, listen, I really appreciate you bringing me into this industry. However, I just feel like we've grown apart and that I do things differently on my wedding days, and that's okay. And I just don't feel like at this time in my life, it's a safe space, not even safe, you don't have to use that word, but a good place for me to be working with you any longer.
Yeah.
You don't even have to get into being associated with you, being friends with you. Cut the tie, set the boundary. Like, if somebody doesn't respect your boundary, then that gives you even more reason to tell them at a later time, hey, I don't feel like you're respecting my boundaries of us not working together. Like, I just don't feel like I see a friendship with us anymore.
Yeah.
People are so afraid of letting other people down or of making people feel bad. And at some point in time, like, you just have to be honest with people for your own sake, for your own mental health, because at the end of the day, you might not be friends with this person 10 years from now, 2 years from now, a year from now, and you're creating a big fuss in your own head about something that they don't even know about and they might not even give a shit about. But like, you got to worry about your feelings more than you care about somebody else's in a situation like this.
Yeah.
And
if you want to be like me, you can just cut ties because
sometimes you don't even have to say anything.
Here's
you
my
can
thing
just
though.
move on.
I'll say something. I will say something. But if I have said something to someone like, hey, this wasn't cool or whatever the case may be, and they come back at me defensively or whatever, like then I'm like, okay, bye. I just feel like life is so short. I'm like, I'm out of here. Especially because in business, like, we are all so busy as it is. Like, we need to be around people who we feel like they're improving our life, and not necessarily improving. Like, the reason that I'm friends with you is not only because you improve my life, but in ways you do, but there are ways that you don't even know. Yeah. It's not like you're giving me money, but you are giving me a sense of like friendship and things like that, even when we're having our moments. So it's just, I don't know. I sit there and I go, if having someone in your life, you constantly feel like it's kind of weighing you down, which it definitely sounds like in this scenario. It's like, yeah, try to talk to them, but if they're not willing to hear it, then peace out, Girl Scout.
Well, and the thing too about being adults, two adults in a friendship, sometimes you grow apart. Sometimes life just looks a little bit different, and that's okay. Like, clearly the two of you were friends / associated before, this person brought you into the photography world. But the fact that now you're in it together, you feel differently. That's okay. Like, your feelings are allowed to change. You're allowed to grow apart. You're allowed to grow as a person while that person doesn't. Clearly, if they're being negative as fuck, leave them in 2024. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't have time for that.
Agreed. And also, fill your calendar. Like, if you don't want to have a conversation, like, I don't want to work for you anymore, just fill your calendar.
Go into one of those Facebook groups, say, hey, I'm looking for second shooting gigs. I want to fill my calendar.
Yeah.
Go on.
I also think it's really important to second shoot for a lot of different people.
Not just one.
Not just one, because then you can see what people are doing. What do you like? What do you not like? Every photographer is going 100%. To handle a wedding day where you're like, I don't like that. And it doesn't mean they're necessarily wrong, but you find your own groove and everything. There are definite lessons that I've learned when I started second shooting, both good and bad, where I was like, ooh, I don't want to make that mistake, or, oh, that is really smart of them. I'm going to utilize that in my 100%. Business. But you have to kind of spread the wealth on.
And then you can choose as a business owner who you want to work for. That's, shit.
Except you have to only work for me.
I was just going to say, I will only work for you. Like, I have shot for several different photographers, especially when I started. And there are a few outside of you that I do love to work with, and I'm like, yes, I would work for you again as a second photographer. But there are some that I'm like, no, I would not want to work with that person again. I didn't have the best experience, and that's not to say that they're a horrible person. That's just to say that I do things very differently, and that's why when I met you, we are so similar.
Oh yeah,
not only in personality, like normal dynamics, but in our work dynamics, like we work very similarly, that I'm comfortable with that. I'm like, I know exactly how Meg would run a wedding day. I know exactly how Meg would run a wedding day. And I know that you trust me enough to know 100%. That I would run a wedding day exactly like you, because it's how I do it too.
And Nikki is literally my only associate shooter. Because I just got to a point where I was like, if I'm sending someone on my behalf, not only the work is a representation of me, but how we get that work is such a huge representation. And I was just like, personalities match, work style match, everything. And it was just
like, we just have the same level of care, I think, not just for the job, but for the couples involved in the job.
And the energy and and outside of work, like we were talking on the phone the other day, and I divulged, not like a deep, dark secret, but I was like, dude, I've never shared this with anybody, and I shared it with you. And you were like, bitch, we are the same person.
I don't remember exactly what it was.
To fall asleep.
Oh my God. 100% the same exact thing. I was like, I have been doing that for years. Yeah.
So funny.
Crazy.
Same person.
Anyway, good luck to you. I hope it works out. I'm so sorry.
Talk to them. If they have something to say, okay. I don't know. I don't like confrontation. Again, I don't like confrontation with people I know. Strangers, love it.
I'm okay with it with people I know. I don't enjoy it. But the thing is like, I'm okay having a conversation about feelings involved, because for one, I don't want somebody to feel like shit. And for two, I want the opportunity to clarify how I feel too, and be able to say like, yeah, I feel uncomfortable, or I just need space.
Or perception is reality.
Yes.
So there was one time I was going to an event with a lot of people. I was really nervous. Like I was very anxious, and I didn't say hi to a specific person, and that rubbed them the wrong way. They felt like I was offstandish, and I was kind of like, well, I was so nervous.
You're so right.
I was so nervous. I literally was in front of 50 new faces. I was nervous about what was going to transpire in the evening or in the day or whatever. And I'm just like, the last thing I was thinking about was going and introducing myself
You're
to
so right.
a new person, and in no way was I negatively thinking about them. It wasn't on my mind, but to them, they were like, oh, this person is a photographer in my industry, that like, it's kind of good if we would know each other or kind of make introductions. And Meg didn't seem excited to meet me. And I'm kind of like, well, I was so nervous. And so perception is reality. So sometimes having those conversations with people is important. Sometimes people are just an asshole.
That's so true. Best of luck, though.
Yeah, best of luck.
Honestly, submit a follow-up, too. Like, I would love to hear how this goes, because a lot of people are probably in the same shoes and situation as you. So I would just love to know, like, how it kind of worked out for you, and how your friend/not friend took it, and how you feel about it.
Agreed. Okay, normally we would do a little bit of a mid-show segment just to break it up a little bit and talk about what's going on socials and all that good stuff. But honestly, I'm very intrigued to see what you have to say about this next story. So we're going to hop right into it.
I haven't read the story yet, so this is new to my ears and new to yours as a listener. So
should wedding photographers share galleries with other vendors?
Yes.
For context, I'm a wedding planner, and I only receive galleries maybe 25% of the time. I always wait until 12 to 16 weeks after the wedding day, and if I have access to the contract, I'll check that to make sure I'm not reaching out too soon. And I'm always nice about it in the email. Something along the lines of, I hope your wedding season's going great. Wonder if the gallery for X and Y happens to be finished. If so, I was hoping I could get a link to their special day. Now, most of what I've done so far is coordination with some planning and design, but as I get more into planning and design, it is pretty important that I get certain photos, especially of the design, to show my work. I've heard of other planners bringing in another photographer for that part alone, since there's no guarantee that the photographer will share the photos with us. At the end of the day, the wedding day is a team effort. Yes, the photographer owns the images, which we would never publish or do something without their permission, strictly socials posting. But the day couldn't have happened without all vendors involved.
Agree 100%.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is just, should wedding photographers share galleries with other vendors? And immediately,
100%.
yes. 100% yes. I think like the little blurb here where it says what they send as a planner to photographers. Hi, I hope your wedding season is going great. Wondering if gallery for X and Y. I think what I would do if I were a wedding planner, and this obviously usually goes unsaid, but I would specify in whatever blurb that you're sending to your photographer as well, is just giving them the confirmation that you will be sharing the photos on socials and tagging them in their work.
Yeah.
And also tagging them in their work on your website if you're sharing as well.
Yeah.
I think for some people, like, that goes unsaid. Obviously, it's kind of like a no-brainer, like, here tagging the photographer. But I think for some probably newer photographers or even seasoned photographers, not knowing necessarily if the vendor's going to be tagging them is probably one of those things. I mean, I'm sure you've had instances where your work has come up and you're like, oh, didn't know that was posted. Thanks for sharing. There's no tag. There's no indication of the fact that I took this photograph. And I think in a lot of ways that can feel like, well, that's my work. I own the rights to this, as we kind of talked about in our last episode. Like, if there is something that you've done and worked hard at, like a wedding gallery, then it does need to be something that you're recognized for in a sense. Maybe that's a hot take. I don't know.
No, I think that for me, again, it comes back down to perception. I will give you a gallery till I'm blue in the face. I do not care. I do not care who has access to the gallery. In terms of the vendors that worked on the day, I am a true believer that this was a group effort.
100%.
Like, yes, I took the photos, but I took the photos of what you had done.
Right.
So I'm absolutely happy to share. It's the benefit of the doubt of, like, the reason I did not send you the gallery has nothing to do with not wanting you to have it. Girl, I ain't got time.
Right.
Or, like, it's just not on
top
the
of
list.
mind.
Yeah, top of mind of things to do. So every time I have someone come to me, whether that be planner, florist, DJ, anybody who's like, hey, can I have that gallery? Hell yeah. Sorry. Like, I actually am like, I'm so sorry.
Yes.
It is part of my goal of 2025 to, like, have it on a checklist where it says, okay, I sent it to the couple. I'm going to give them a couple business days to marinate on it. I want them to be looking at everything before all the vendors flood social media with their photos. Let them soak in the gallery and then send it to the vendors. Now, the problem that I run into this with, it is not my job. I do not want to go through the 15 vendors and go find their individual email addresses and all of that stuff. I do not have time. So if I were a planner, and there are fantastic planners here in the Twin Cities and all over the country that have done this, where they send an email before the wedding, like a week, say, hey, all the vendors are on this email. Here's a copy paste tag list of everybody's @, their Instagrams, where when you post any photos, please tag these people. That way I can just reply all to that email.
See, that's amazing.
And say, hey, everybody, here's the Sneak Gallery. Thank you so much for the partnership on this day. Let me know if there's any questions. They are set to download high-resolution images. Please do not screenshot. And as a reminder, the planner, here's that copy-paste. Yeah, that is so easy. But what I am not going to do, I cannot go track everything down. I simply can't. So whether you're doing planning or day of coordination, what would make our lives easier as the photographer is to do that. Otherwise, I don't mind just sending it to the planner, and the planner can disperse it as they feel fit. But I just, again, it's not always on top of mind, but I'm working on it.
And if you ask, you shall receive. And if you're not receiving in this instance,
that's a problem.
Yeah.
If a photographer will not give you a gallery, and again, maybe that's a hot take, I would have a problem with that.
No, and I agree. One thing though, yes, you might forget. Maybe it's in a request box in a DM. Mm-hmm. Send an email. Send an email with a very clarified, listed out thing like you said here in your your form. But my question is, is it an unsaid thing with couples then, like, hey, I'm sending your gallery to all of the vendors, and then what if the couple is one of those couples who's like, well, I don't really want all of the photos posted on social right away, blasted everywhere, but we send the gallery to the planner and every single vendor, and then they start blasting socials, and the couples hasn't even had the chance to fully go through the gallery or send it to all of their family members yet. It's a really blurry line because there are so many ins and outs. So I think that there are ways to kind of get around that in a sense, or do proactive things to not have to worry about that. And like you said, the vendor tag list, love that. Yeah. Wish I would get that every time.
I know, right?
Because if people are doing that for fucking styled shoots and you can tag every single vendor, then, send me a list of every single vendor so I can tag them for your thing. I need to be better at that, because I do have a Google Doc form where I ask my couples to list all of their vendors and their socials, and, I need to be better at that.
Well, it's hard because not everybody is social media, like all over social media in terms of couples. But if sometimes I'll post sneak peeks on the day of, and I'll have hair and makeup be like, hey, can you please take us in this? And I'm like, shit, I'm so sorry. It wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
I'm just running and gunning, posting these sneak
literally
peeks.
running around like a chicken with my head cut off already, editing in the back corner of a galley kitchen where there are 16 caterers around me trampling on my laptop. Like, I'm so sorry.
But I think the photographers that have the mindset of like, none of this would be possible without me,
you're
so
fucked.
fucking for real. Yeah, like I do understand that you are holding the camera, and that's not to say that if all of these wedding vendors weren't here that you couldn't take some nice photographs, but you would not have taken these photographs.
No,
so
mama.
like to get on your high horse about that is something I do struggle with, or to be so like adamant that like I'm the one who owns it. Yeah, I totally get that, but it was a collective group effort, and I'm just like, share the images. Now, what I will say is if I have a vendor who is rude as shit to me on a wedding day,
which we've had,
then if they come asking for the gallery, I'll probably give it to them, or I might have a little conversation about just like conduct on wedding day. But again, it's that perception. Maybe I took something, maybe that's just how they are, and I took something, whatever. So it's good to have those conversations ahead of time. Luckily, the people who've been like outright rude as fuck to me have not come asking for the gallery. They haven't shared any of my photos. I think it's a mutual distaste for each other. But I don't know. I'm just like, also, it's fucking marketing. It is 100% free marketing.
That is such a good way, especially building that good rapport and good kind of just relationship with the vendors that you've worked with, and then sharing your gallery so that they can share the images that you beautifully took of their work. Like, that's such good
I gotta be honest,
marketing.
the one thing I don't care about is like if your Aunt Sally posts a photo and doesn't tag me, I don't give a fuck.
I don't care.
I do not care.
Do not care.
I don't care.
Ever.
And honestly, they're probably not even posting my favorite photo. I don't care.
Don't care.
No one's looking at Aunt Sally's photo trying to hire their wedding photographer, but
that
vendor
planner.
to vendor tagging is really important. The first thing I do if I see a venue and I go, oh my God, this is a stunning photo, and there's no photographer tagged, I'm annoyed both for the photographer, but also because I'm like, who took this gorgeous photo?
Yeah.
Who these gorgeous florals? Like, I want to know who.
That's so true. I will look at even a random person's feed, and if they have beautiful couple photos that you can tell are professionally taken and the photographer isn't tagged, I'm like, damn, I wanted to creep on them, follow them, and admire the shit out of their work, but I can't because there's no tag.
Yeah. Rude. Just rude. Okay, well, with that being said, thank you everybody so much for joining this cocktail hour. Do not forget to subscribe, rate, review the pod. We love. We really appreciate all the support. We really do.
Yes, make sure you're following along with us on Instagram at cocktailhour.podcast, and be sure to submit all of your stories or any questions that you have in the link in our bio. Everything is absolutely anonymous.
Agreed. Also, we're supportive girlies, so you can find links for everything we chatted about in the show notes. Go give some love to these companies. Also, last thing I'll say is, depending on when this episode comes out, Skol Vikings.
Skol! Wait, we're Skol chanting to end this. We're not cheersing.
Okay, wait.
Skol!
Is that just what they do?
Skol! This is the whitest thing I've ever done in my entire life. This is
going to get clipped. And people are going to be like, look at these idiots scolding. Okay, bye, guys.
Bye.